that, we do want to welcome in our NBC 10 political commentator, Sue O'Connell, to join the conversation. And Sue, I want to ask you about a lawsuit Donald Trump just filed against the Des Moines Register and its top pollster, Jan Selzer. She did a poll right before Election Day that had him losing big among women in Iowa. The poll was wrong. I mean, he won this state by 13 points, but he's saying that poll was equal to election interference. What's going on here, and why can't he let this go?
Well, Priscilla, in the words of Donald Trump himself, promises made, promises kept. Look, he pledged to aggressively pursue litigation against media he thinks were unfair to him. He's counting this as media. And he is using the Iowa Consumer Fraud Act to argue that incorrect polls forced Republicans to, quote, divert campaign time and money to areas in which they are ahead. And he also says that the poll deceived the public into believing that Democratic candidates are performing better than they really are. So, in other words, Trump says that he and the Republicans spent money and time in Iowa that they didn't need to. Now, the pollster Jan Selzer, she is a longtime, well-respected professional pollster whose polls over the decades have been overwhelmingly correct, much more often than almost any other poll. So what this lawsuit is doing is sending shockwaves throughout the polling community, especially, as you note, since Trump won the popular vote, the Electoral College vote, and he won Iowa.
Yeah, well, Trump is also accusing the judge who oversaw his hush money conviction of violating the Supreme Court because the judge denied him his petition to throw out his conviction. What's the president-elect's argument here?
So Trump's attorneys say that the prosecutors should not have been able to present evidence like those checks that he signed that went to cover the cost of the payments to Stormy Daniels. Those should not have been presented during the trial. The Trump team say that that evidence is tied to what they say are, quote, official acts. Now, since Trump wrote the checks while he was president, it's an official act. That's their argument. Judge Juan Merchan denied that argument during the trial, and Trump says that denial was, quote, a direct violation of the Supreme Court's decision on immunity. Now, remember, Trump and any other president now, they have immunity from being charged for acts they committed while president. So that's the argument, and this case remains in limbo.
Well, and Massachusetts Senator Elizabeth Warren sent a letter to Trump asking that he put in place clear conflict of interest rules to bind Elon Musk over the next 4 years. What's her concern here, and do you think there's any chance of getting it?
Good question, Priscilla. Look, Elon Musk companies, the big ones, Tesla and SpaceX, they benefit from $15.4 billion in government contracts, that over the past 10 years. And there have been at least 20 recent federal investigations into those companies, this according to the New York Times. Now, Musk, although he won't be a federal employee, he'll be a volunteer, and he'll be advising the Trump administration on regulations. And some of those regulations would impact Musk's companies. So it's hard to argue that there shouldn't be guidelines to make sure that Musk is acting in the best interests of the United States, not in the best interests of Elon Musk. And of course, Warren has asked Trump's transition team to provide answers no later than December 23rd. They have responded by calling her a slur. So let's see if they comply with that basic request.
All right, yeah, and we'll see what, those rules may be.